My family forgot to invite me to my grandparents' funeral. I'm 30s female and caused a major blow up in my family, and now none of them are talking to me. For background, my hometown is tiny, 500 population, and when I went 2 hours away to the city, which is 15,000 population, for college, I loved it. I ended up staying after graduation, got married, and am happy here for a decade. I visit my hometown every few weeks or so, call/text my family nearly daily, and thought that we were all good. My family's pretty small. Just my brother, mom, stepdad, dad, stepmom, and aunt and uncle. My family has always been pretty drama-free, aside from my parents' divorce when I was a kid. And we've been happy. The step-parents blended in perfectly, and we shared holidays and celebrations together. We're all super close and just the perfect little group. Where did we go wrong? Ever since I moved away, the topic of when am I moving back is constant, and I've always just laughed it off. I love the town, but I love it here more. I have parks, stores, community events, and a library. Priorities. My family grumbles that I need to move back, but I refuse. Now to the meat and potatoes. Both my grandparents passed over COVID times. They were both old and their health had been failing for a while, so it was only a matter of time. Thankfully, they didn't catch it, but it made visiting them impossible, and we survived mostly through FaceTime. They both passed in their sleep months apart. Both were cremated and kept securely under the kitchen sink for safekeeping while the pandemic blew over. That was in 2021. Well, I just found out my family had a funeral for them and scattered the ashes in my uncle's maple grove over the summer. No one said a word to me about it. I visited numerous times before and after, and not one word. I only found out because my great uncle from California posted on Facebook a few weeks ago that he is entering hospice and was so thankful his health stayed strong enough for him to see his little sister, my grandma, in her final resting place. To find that out on Facebook, out of all ways to find out, I was confused, and so I called my mom. She was all, yeah, the funeral we had in July, remember? Y'all, I visited them for the 4th of July. They did the funeral on the 8th. Not a word about it to me. They had this planned for months, long enough to arrange for my infirm great uncle to be brought over from the other side of the country. Apparently, they talked about it all the time. Well, I wasn't in those conversations, clearly. Everyone is convinced that I was at the funeral. They swear I was there. My family straight up forgot about me. I'm hurt, I'm sad, and they're pissed at me for lying. They think I'm causing drama over nothing. Nothing I can say can convince them that I wasn't there. And they've all put me on red until I admit that I'm wrong. Thanksgiving is coming up and my family's been vague, posting on Facebook about forgetful kids and mental health. It's so freaking weird, and I don't know if I'm in just bizarro world or what's going on. Hubby says we need a break, and so we're going to be staying home this holiday season. Edit, I don't know the update rules, so I will just post updates to my profile should anyone want them. And boy, do we have a lot of updates. I'm as baffled as she is. I don't know what's worse, just being forgotten about or the fact that they think you were there and they can picture you there when you weren't. It's 11/27 and Thanksgiving just happened. Hubby and I stayed home. We got a small turkey and we made our own little Thanksgiving. It was nice. So it wasn't until Wednesday night that my mom broke the silence. Mom called and asked when I was showing up, and I told her that we were staying home this year, but for them to have a happy Thanksgiving and to give the rest of the family my love. She was quiet for a long time after I said that, and I think she eventually mumbled an okay or something and just hung up. It wasn't an angry hang up, just a hang up. On Thanksgiving Day, I sent a group Happy Thanksgiving gift to our family group chat. I received a few Happy Thanksgivings back. No one has said anything else, and there have been no posts on Facebook. Maybe this will all just blow over. Update 2 came December 12th, 2023, which was 15 days later. So I think I mentioned in one of my comments that my dad and I usually talk on the phone every Sunday morning. I was sitting outside in my usual spot watching the sunrise and freezing my butt off, and he called me. I'm not entirely sure how to describe the emotions I felt. It was a mix of panic, hope, terror, happiness, and dread. I ended up answering because I just had to know what he wanted. It was an awkward conversation. He didn't want to address the current drama, but instead tiptoed around the situation with all the grace of a cow on stilts. Eventually, he asked if we were coming out for Christmas and sounded sad when I told him we weren't. He asked if him and stepmom could come visit us instead, and I told him it wasn't a good idea this year. Part of me feels like, I don't know, could that have been Dad's way of reaching out and extending an olive branch of saying, well, if you're not coming home, maybe me and stepmom could visit you? Did you guys see or feel that as maybe a little olive branch that we could move forward? Next update on Christmas Day. Girl, get off Reddit. It is Christmas. Yesterday was Sunday, but I didn't answer my dad when he called. I just didn't really feel up for a pointless chat, so I let it go to voicemail. He tried to reach out to me a few times throughout the day, but I didn't answer. Our bestie last minute invited us over to his house for Christmas Day lunch today. So husband and I were busy all of Christmas Eve making cookies, peanut brittle, and homemade suckers and hard candies for his kids. Mom tried to reach out as well, but I also ignored her calls. I don't think we're gonna find any resolution if we keep just ignoring phone calls. As for my folks, my brother texted and asked if we could talk sometime tomorrow. I think me ignoring mom and dad has caused some kind of upset, which they deserve. It's gonna get messy. We have the update, which came the following day, Unboxing Day. Spoke with my brother over the phone this morning. For starters, he apologized for everything. Him and I are good, for now. Without further ado, here's the story from the horse's mouth. Mom apparently had a cancer scare last year, which no one told me about, go figure, and Dad had a stent put in his heart back in January, which I didn't know about. How do you not know about that? Why aren't they telling you these things? These are big things. This sense of morality has apparently lit a fire under my mom's ass to get me back home. But since I wasn't reacting to her passive-aggressive hinting, she and stepmom decided to go full crazy. My great uncle's health was bad, and he'd been asking about funeral arrangements for his sister, my grandma, for a while. So the moms decided to plan it and use the event as a giant middle finger to me. They kept all the planning pretty hush-hush between the two of them, so no one on our side of the family actually knew about the funeral until 2 weeks before. The mom said they invited hubby and I. No one thought anything about it. No one thought to mention, confirm, or check with me. The plan was to scatter the ashes, say a few words, and maybe head to town for lunch. It was a small affair. Then the 4th of July happens. Hubby and I are out. No one thought to mention it, as we were all busy celebrating and having a great time. Anytime the topic of this weekend would start, the conversation would quickly be shifted by one of the moms, and then we just went back home. But what about your brother? Your brother, you guys have been close? How did your brother not bring this up at any certain point? That's what I'm not understanding. And this is where the crazy went up a notch. Oh my God, it gets worse. My brother says the moms were happy no one noticed I wasn't there, and that this was proof to everyone that I needed to move back home because I was so easily forgotten about. But then a few months went by and tempers cooled, and then I guess the horror of it set in, followed by the shame, but then they were in too deep. How do you undo something like this? And since I hadn't brought it up, I guess they figured they would all just stay quiet about it and hope that I never asked about the funeral. So suddenly town gossip and my little old church ladies got involved. Was I or wasn't I at the funeral? Did my family forget to invite me to the funeral of the only grandparents I'd ever know, or am I just causing a ruckus? My brother said they all just went with mom's answer. Of course, they wouldn't forget me. Of course, I was there. Of course they're good people, and it all just snowballed. The fact that this was all intentional is kind of insane. The family expected me to eventually fold. I'm usually a non-confrontational person, so me sticking to my guns was unexpected. And then I missed Thanksgiving, and now Christmas, with no sign of backing down, and I guess the realization that I could just stop being a part of their lives is setting in, and my parents are panicking. He's tried just getting them to apologize and explain, but stubbornness prevails. My brother is upset with everything that has happened. He's realized just how crappy it has all been, and he wants nothing to do with it anymore. But since he lives with my mom, he can't quite get away from it. He has asked if he can come stay with us for a little bit. I spoke with hubby, and he's in agreement with me that my brother can come crash in our spare bedroom for as long as he wants. Oh my God, your parents are gonna hate that. Mom is going to lose her shit. Before we get into that update, we're taking a sip of water. Cheers. My brother is settled in nicely, and he's a great housemate. Folks back home have been mostly well behaved. There's been a few texts back and forth as we are not answering calls. Mom mainly wants to know when brother's coming back, but he's keen on staying here for a while. Mom said I can't keep him, and I told her that he's a grown-ass man and can do what he wants. Brother says he has her blocked after she ordered him to return home. Brother has tentatively asked if he could stay long term should he decide to, or at least longer than usual visitor would stay, which we're fine with. Next update came January 17th. 15 days later. My brother is officially staying with us for the long haul. Hubby and him spent all Sunday organizing the basement and shifting things around, so he now has his own area to be comfortable with. He's pretty handy and has also started fixing little things around the house. Sadly, he also had to change the locks on our house and get us all new keys. This is because while hubby and I were out this Saturday, the moms showed up. They had been calling and texting us all week, but we weren't really answering them. So I guess they decided to drive over and hash it out in person. They have emergency keys to my place, and they just let themselves in. Brother told them to leave. They argued, and my nosy but kind neighbors called the police when they noticed the commotion. So we get a call from my neighbor's wife, return home to some cops in our yard, all the neighbors out vacuuming their trees, and my nosy neighbors standing on my porch with my brother behind them doing their Gandalf, "You shall not pass" impression. Had to talk with the cops, explain that we are all just having a family dispute, and word vomited. I don't really remember what I said, and I was shaking a lot. They asked if we wanted the mom's trespass, but I wasn't sure if that counted as a criminal charge, so just asked the cops if they could just make them leave, which the cops did with no fuss. I think the moms were shocked that we were taking this so seriously. They didn't fight or scream at us, they just left quietly. My dad promised me that he would make sure his wife left us alone, or else. He said he'd also have a stern talk with my mom. Him and I talked Sunday morning, and he seemed absolutely at the end of his rope. Husband jokingly told my dad that he could move in too, to which he declined. Not sure where to go from here, but we're getting some Ring cameras installed once they arrive. And everyone but my dad is now blocked. Hopefully they all just leave us alone. Oh my God, this is really getting intense. Now everyone's blocked, like we're just disowning people. All right, some time went on. The next update was February 27th. My dad came out for a visit over the weekend. We had a good time and the weather was lovely for some grilling and beers. Here's his report from back home. Stepmom, my dad's wife, has started to realize that she is screwed up. Stepdad was pissed the police were involved in the last mom visit and was in the kids are out of control and need to be resigned back in mindset. When my dad pointing out the kids in question were all in their mid-30s, it took some of the steam out of my stepdad's sails. According to my dad, even my mom looked a little surprised when he said that. So part of me is wondering if a good chunk of this whole thing is my mom not truly realizing that her kids are grown and no longer children that she could make demands of. Both of the moms have left us alone. I expected my mom to continue to kick up a fuss, but I think the cops have spooked her. There was a wonderful suggestion by a comment to get their pastor involved, which I passed along to my dad. The new pastor agreed to come sit down with everyone and help the family hash it all out in a true come to Jesus type moment next month, so that maybe we could celebrate Easter together as our first holiday as a family. I'm actually surprised you're willing to meet, if I'm being honest. Next update, April 1st. It's been some time. The entire family, aunt, uncle, mom's, dad's, brother, me, husband, and pastor met at my dad's house, and we all sat down to hash the situation out. As expected from what my dad said, my aunt and uncle greeted us all with apologies and hugs, which was nice. No one was allowed to interrupt, so everyone got to talk. It was nice. The consensus for the group was that mostly everyone wanted things to go back to normal. The only ones who had any variance off this was my mom and stepdad. They wanted all of us kids to move back to the area. They need to get over that. You're adults and you want to live somewhere else. The pastor asked them why they wanted us back, and neither could give a good reason other than because family. And the pastor asked us if we were thriving where we were, and we said that we were. He asked if we were happy there, which we were. He then asked my mom and stepdad if they wanted us to give up our happiness to make them happy. And mom broke down and said no, we all had a good cry. Everyone apologized and admitted that they effed up and did a really crappy thing. We all talked for a long time, and the pastor was a great mediator. Eventually, we all reached some sort of resolution, and I think we're good now. Emotions are still high and a little raw in some areas, but we stayed for Easter weekend, okay, and had a nice time. We're going to keep moving forward slowly and try to repair the friendship, but I believe we are all and truly out of the woods. We have a final update. I thought that was the final update, but this came March 3rd, 2025. Almost a year later. I'm intrigued. I know it's been a while, so lots of updates incoming. My brother moved out. Mom's mellowed the frick out. She stopped her insanity and seems to have accepted the new normal. Dad said that she's turning back into the woman he once married, which is a bit depressing, but also good, I guess. Our relationship has improved drastically. Dad and stepmom are also doing well. Stepmom and us actually bonded quite nicely during January. You will all be happy to hear that we did manage to do a memorial for my grandparents. It was exactly what my soul needed. I didn't realize how much I needed to have that closure until it was done. Our next scheduled visit is for Easter, and I can honestly say I'm looking forward to it. I feel like I have my family back again. Please be kind to each other and take care of yourselves. Thank you for letting me shout into the void. That was a lot. However, there's a happy ending. So maybe all of that needed to happen to build a better relationship. Could it be a blessing in disguise? Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay safe.